And we are back with the fourth segment of the GSMC Basketball Podcast presented by the GSMC Sports Network. And in this fourth segment, we are going to be talking about some basketball news. Bronny James, he made his debut in the Summer League, and as well as some NBA trades and free agent signings that ended up happening over the weekend. So we'll obviously start with Bronny and his Summer League debut. Now, he did not have a good game. I am not going to mince words. He played really badly I accidentally touched my mic there. He played really badly in this game. And what makes this, a little bit funny to me is how the graphics, the graphic designers for, calculating the box scores and creating these graphics of players and their stats, they made it seem like Bronny scored 21 points and ended the game with 21 points, as well as, going 2 for 2, right? That's sort of what they made it look like. But in reality, he played 21 minutes and was only able to score 4 points, got 2 assists and 2 rebounds, and I believe he shot 2 for 9 from the field. So again, was not a very efficient outing for Bronny James in his Summer League debut. But I don't really think that a lot of people are going, obviously, a lot of people are going to hate on Bronny for the simple fact that he is LeBron James' son, but I don't think overreacting over just one Summer League game is appropriate, despite the fact that he didn't really play that well. I mean, we remember last year, Victor Wembanyama in his first Summer League didn't play well at all, and everyone was so quick to call him a bust, call him the worst draft pick in the NBA. He's not going to amount to this. There were so many people on Twitter just saying this, that, and the other, and even saying that other rookies in his draft class were better than him. And again, they did not take the time to do that at all. It was almost immediately after the first game. And, in the conclusion of the season, now we see just how good Victor Wembanyama actually is, and how the Summer League, that one Summer League game, could be considered as a fluke. The hatred from Victor, the hatred that Victor got from all these NBA fans on the media was ridiculous. And it was just one Summer League game that didn't have any bearing on the regular season at all. And it's really, it's stunning to me just how quickly the media can change perspective and how quickly a lot of people are to hate on some of these players. And I don't really expect the hate to be even more so with Bronny, considering how he is LeBron James' son and there is a lot of pressure for him to do well in the league. However, it should also be noted that Bronny's dad is a billionaire. If you had a dad that was a billionaire, I highly doubt that you would have any sort of aspirations to do all sorts of things like Bronny is doing. I mean, he suffered from cardiac arrest, and here he is back and playing in the NBA. He is trying to make a name for himself, despite the fact that his father owns almost $1 billion to his name. If your father was LeBron James, I highly doubt that you would even bother trying to compete in the NBA and, make a career of your own. Because, why would you need to do that, right? So that's something that's really going to get pushed under the rug, despite how Bronny plays. And I feel like that should be taken into account. Now, again, it might sound like I'm giving a lot of leeway to Bronny, but, at the same time, would anyone really try to do anything with their name when they have somebody like LeBron James as their father? I doubt that. But aside from that, we can go into some more basketball news that isn't about Bronny James. Talk about some free agent signings, because there was a lot of them over the weekend, and we also have more details on some of the sign and trades that were being done in the NBA. So, for the first time in the history of the NBA, there was a 6-team trade. The first time that 6 teams were ever involved in just one trade. And this goes back to the Klay Thompson sign and trade with the Dallas Mavericks. So the 6 teams that were involved were Dallas, Golden State, the Timberwolves, the Denver Nuggets, the Charlotte Hornets, as well as the 76ers. So I'll just break down this trade right here. So Klay Thompson, obviously, he went to Dallas. So Dallas received Klay Thompson as well as a 2025 second-round pick. Then the Minnesota Timberwolves, they received a 2031 second-round pick swap as well as a 2025 second-round pick and cash. The Warriors ended up getting Kyle Anderson as well as Buddy Hield. And the Denver Nuggets in this deal, I have no idea how, they ended up getting cash, literally just cash. And the Charlotte Hornets, they were obviously the biggest winner of this trade because they ended up receiving Josh Green, Reggie Jackson, 2029 second round pick, and 2030 second round pick. They're the biggest winner in terms of like assets that they acquired from this trade. And the 76ers ended up getting a 2031 second round pick. So again, this is the first 6-team trade that we've ever seen in the history of the NBA. And this is all due to the second apron and the new CBA rules because a lot of teams are trying to avoid getting into that second apron due to the reasons that I mentioned in the second segment. And because of that, a lot of players and a lot of teams, they've had to do several sign-in trades to avoid that second apron. So it's a huge trade, and we'll have to see how all of it turns out. Now, I believe that the Denver Nuggets, they received this cash so that way they're able to try and acquire Russell Westbrook because that is one of the reasons, that is one of the things that Nikola Jokic for the Denver Nuggets has his eyes set on. Like, he really wants to play with Russ, and he really wants Russ to play under that system. So I believe that's the reason why the Nuggets ended up getting cash. Now, the Timberwolves, obviously, they had to give up some of their players in this trade, so it makes sense that they got some second-round picks and, the right to swap, as well as some cash for them to try and improve their roster if they really need to improve their roster. And the Charlotte Hornets, since they were also giving up some of their players, they ended up getting some players in return. And the Sixers, I honestly have no idea why the Sixers were involved in this trade. Just the fact that they were able... Actually, wait, I know why. Because they had to trade Buddy Hield over to the Golden State Warriors on that sign and trade. So it's really confusing to follow all of these, especially with how big of a trade this really is in the basketball world. Again, the first ever 6-team sign and trade. Now, let me just go ahead and break down some of the other contract signings that ended up happening over the weekend. Oh, wait a minute. Before I do that, the Nets and the Knicks trade, the details between the Nets and the Knicks, they were finally announced, and the Nets received so many picks. It's unbelievable from this trade. So the Knicks, they ended up getting Mikal Bridges, obviously, Keita Bates-Diop, and a 2026 Nets second-round pick. But the Nets, they ended up receiving a 2025 Knicks first-round pick, 2025 Bucks first-round pick. It's a top 4 projected pick. 2025 Nets second round, 2027 Knicks first round, 2028 Knicks first swap, with the right to swap, 2029 Knicks first, 2031 Knicks first, Bojan Bogdanovic, Shake Milton on a sign and trade, and Mamadi Diakite. I believe that's how you say his last name. Again, forgive me if I botched it, but this is a huge trade for the Nets. I see this as a win-win. I saw this as a win-win before just because, it was sort of, I guess, a sacrifice to try and make a team that is able to compete against the Boston Celtics. And since the Nets are in a full rebuild, they are committed to that full rebuild. And having all of these picks at their disposal is just perfect. I love this trade because of so many picks. It seems that the Nets have learned from their mistake of trading away their picks to gain more talent, because if you guys remember, the Nets ended up giving up several picks for Kevin Durant as well as Kyrie Irving, and, well, not really, and they gave up several picks for James Harden, that's what I meant to say, and they didn't really have that much capital in the draft, but now they do. And obviously Kevin Durant and Kyrie, it didn't work for the Brooklyn Nets. And even before that, when they traded for Paul Pierce and Kevin Garnett, those two picks that they ended up giving up ended up being Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown, who so coincidentally just won the championship. So it seems that they learned from their past mistakes. I really, really do like this trade. Now, in some other free agent signings, since we are running a little bit low on time, I'm going to be talking a little bit about some of the other, I'm going to speed run through some of these signings. As I mentioned earlier, Franz Wagner signed a 5-year, $224 million contract with the Orlando Magic. I think this is an absurd contract for someone like Franz Wagner. I think he is overpaid to the max. It is ridiculous. I'll do a different segment as well, just covering just covering the contract and figuring out exactly how bad it actually is. Now, the San Antonio Spurs, they ended up trading Devontae Graham and a second-round pick to the Charlotte Hornets, as sources told, ESPN. And in some other news, Malik Beasley signed a 1-year, $6 million contract with the Detroit Pistons. I think this is a horrible contract for Malik Beasley. He needs to get a better agent, because making $6 million for a year and playing for the Detroit Pistons, literally the worst team in the NBA, is a really, really bad signing. I don't know what he was doing. Now, Caleb Martin, reportedly, he turned down a 5-year, $65 million offer from the Heat a week ago, and now he signed with the 76ers on a 4-year, $32 million contract. So, significantly less and huge pay cut that he's taking for some baffling reason. I think he messed up with this contract, honestly. Making $32 million is not the same as making $65 million, obviously. It's a huge loss for him. Miles Bridges, who was on the free agent market, he agreed to a 3-year, $75 million contract with the Charlotte Hornets, so he's not going anywhere for Charlotte. And some other news, Dario Saric ended up signing a 2-year, $10 million contract with the Denver Nuggets, sources told ESPN. And let's see, because there were some more free agent signings, and I know I'm missing one. Actually, no, that is the only free agent signing. That is all the free agent signings and all of the trades that recently happened over the weekend. And let me know in the comments what you guys think of this trades. Do you guys think that there are winners? Do you think there are significant losers? I obviously think Caleb Martin is a huge loser in this free agent signing, and as well as Malik Beasley, because those two, they just messed up badly. So with that, we are going to go ahead and go into the fifth and the final segment, where I give a quick update on the WNBA and who I think has the best chances of winning Rookie of the Year, because history continues to be broken, history continues to be made, I should say, and records continue to be broken in the WNBA. So I will go ahead and talk about that after this short break. Be sure to stay tuned.